In January of 2019, Stefanos Tsitsipas defeated the defending champion at the Australian Open. A couple of months later, Roger Federer took his revenge and won his 100th title at Dubai. This match didn't give just Federer another title, but it also gave us the opportunity to understand how the pros can learn from their losses and develop better strategies. During our last videos, we talked about Tsitsipas' victory over Federer at the Australian Open. We talked about his tactics, the use of his serve, and how it paid off at the end. If you haven't watched that analysis, I'll leave a link on the video description below. One of the things we talked there is the use of the Bodysurf as Tsitsipas' main choice for second serves. During the Australian Open, this was Tsitsipas' second serve distribution, and these were the results of the use of the Bodysurf. Let's remember that good results are points that start with the server having the upper hand on the point. Bad results are points that start with the returner having the upper hand. And neutral results are points that start with neither the server or the returner having the upper hand on the point. As we said in the last video, what matters the most for Tsitsipas is not the big amount of good results, but the low percentage of bad results. This tells us that indeed Federer couldn't attack Tsitsipas' second serve as much as he wanted. Now let's take a look at Tsitsipas' second serve distribution and compare it with the Australian Open. As we can see during the Dubai final, Tsitsipas also used the Bodysurf quite often, but his results from it got worse during this match. During the Dubai final, Tsitsipas had fewer good results and more bad results. Now, my theory about why this happened is the following. During the Australian Open, Federer tried to attack Tsitsipas' second serve by stepping inside the baseline and trying to take the return earlier. This works great against wide serves and T serves, but it can become problematic against body serves because you could find the ball right in front of you. During the Australian Open, whenever Federer tried to step inside the baseline on the return and Tsitsipas used a body serve, Federer would find the ball right in front of him. There was practically no space between the ball and his body. He couldn't extend his arms, and therefore he couldn't give power to his shots. Now, during the Dubai final, he made a slight modification that, in my opinion, allowed him to attack Tsitsipas' second serves. During this final, whenever Federer tried to step inside the baseline, he would frequently make two moves at the same time. The first one is moving forwards, just as he usually does. The second one was moving to his left, so instead of the usual forwards movement, it was a diagonal movement. It was a combination of moving forwards and running around the backhand. This solved the distance issue and allowed him to put more power on the return, and in consequence, Tsitsipas' bad results increased. The second factor that we should talk is rallies. During the Australian Open match, we got to the conclusion that Tsitsipas got the upper hand during rallies with the cross-court backhand exchanges. During the Australian Open match, Tsitsipas' backhand had more depth than Federer's backhand, and once they started exchanging cross-court backhands, Tsitsipas became the player with the better chances. However, during the Dubai final, Federer used a couple of tactics that allowed him to escape these type of exchanges. Whenever Tsitsipas tried to get into cross-court backhand exchanges, Federer did one of the following shots immediately: an inside-out forehand to attack Tsitsipas' backhand, a backhand down the line to attack Tsitsipas' forehand, or a low backhand slice down the line. Let's talk about each one of these individually. As we said before, during the Australian Open, Tsitsipas' backhand had more depth than Federer's backhand. However, Federer's inside-out forehand had more depth than his backhand, and it allowed him to take advantage of these exchanges. The backhand down the line and the inside-in forehand were two types of shots that Federer tried to use during the Australian Open to escape the cross-court backhand exchanges. During that match, it didn't work, and instead it allowed Tsitsipas to take control of the point. Here, however, they helped Federer and gave him good results. In my opinion, this tactic worked here because Federer didn't wait for a better chance to hit this shot. He didn't give Tsitsipas the opportunity to establish himself during these exchanges. During the Australian Open, Tsitsipas' backhand would land in position G or H, while Federer's would land in position H or I. After a couple of shots, Tsitsipas would have the control of the point, and Federer wouldn't be in a comfortable position to attack anymore. During the Dubai final, Federer didn't wait. Let's say both players were somewhere near the middle of the basin. Once Federer hit a cross-court backhand, Tsitsipas would reply with a cross-court backhand. However, this first backhand by Tsitsipas didn't have the same pace and speed as the ones he would hit once he was in a better position. In fact, many of these first backhands by Tsitsipas were hit with slice. Federer took advantage of this and aimed the forehand side of Tsitsipas with a backhand down the line. By not waiting, he didn't give Tsitsipas the chance to establish himself and take control of these rallies. This just leaves us with one scenario, and that is the scenario where Tsitsipas was already well positioned on his backhand side. This is where Federer would use the low backhand slice down the line. This shot didn't have the purpose of attacking Tsitsipas. Its purpose was changing rhythm and force Tsitsipas to leave his backhand side open. The low slice didn't allow Tsitsipas to attack since he had to overcome the height of the net. Tsitsipas had to take some speed out of his shot to put more spin, and that allowed Federer to attack with his next shot. So, we have talked about Federer's return and his tactics during rallies. To finish this video, let's talk about Federer's serve. Usually, big servers like Federer or Tsitsipas like to keep an even distribution between the wide serve and the T serve to keep their opponents guessing. However, during this final, Federer leaned towards the T serve on the due side and the wide serve on the ad side, probably because he wanted to aim Tsitsipas' backhand. As we can see, the results of choosing this placement gave Federer amazing results. Now let's take a look at the serve plus 1 combinations to get a better idea of Federer's tactics to start the point. On the due side, Federer used the T serve 12 times. Out of 12 times, Tsitsipas missed the return 6 times. On 2 occasions, Tsitsipas left the ball at the middle of the court, being more specific, position E and F, and that would allow Federer to run around his backhand and finish the point with his forehand. Federer would also be able to take control of the point once after Tsitsipas left the ball at position H by hitting an inside-in forehand. The rest of the points land at B, D, and H, and the point started on equal terms. As for the wide serve on the ad side, Federer would use it 9 times. Tsitsipas missed the return 3 times. On 2 occasions, Federer would be able to serve and volley. On other 2 occasions, Federer would finish the point with his next shot, once after Tsitsipas left the ball at B and the other at E. Here, the only neutral result was this one, where Tsitsipas left the ball at E and Federer's next shot also landed at E. So, we talked about Federer's serve, Federer's return, and his tactics during rallies. Now we have a better idea of how he won this final. As we said at the beginning, this was a perfect opportunity to learn how amazing players learn from their defeats and reinvent themselves. This is essential for them. This is how they keep improving and keep winning tournaments. Before I say goodbye, I just wanted to let you know that I created a Facebook group for those of you that want to talk about strategies, share your experiences during your matches, or ask for advice. If you want to join the group, I'll leave a link on the video description below. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, subscribe to this channel and click the bell icon. My name is Jorge, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.